except for some very basic ones like don't assault people. Don't. If no means no. If they say no thanks, I'm busy tonight, then just say okay and walk away. I think those are some very basic rules, but there's a lot of real subtle ones underneath it all. I've heard women say that, like you had said, that it's not the worst thing in the world if some guy, keeps coming up to you to help you build your sealed deck, right? It's not like the kind of thing that you just want to call the police and talk about.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just a paper cut, It's just like, another time I have to do this,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that just subtly adds up over time, and those subtle kinds of behaviors, which can be fine or appropriate in some cases, get annoying once they're repeated over and over and over again.
Exactly.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to pipe in here. This is Trevor, because this kind of gets at the heart of why Planeswalkers for Diversity exists, and our sister organization, Lady Planeswalkers Society, because it's just the atmosphere in a Magic store. It's hard to put your finger on those little things that add up, and so we have these, once a week or once a month, where we make a point of sort of announcing at the beginning, this is Planeswalkers for Diversity Night, and it is those little things like, remember somebody was drafting, the thing that pops to mind is somebody called Rapemonger.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of thing like, okay, women are, live in a society where they have to worry about being physically assaulted, and when you go out to play Magic, you don't want to be reminded. You just don't want to hear rape randomly in the middle of nowhere, and
Yeah, it's all those little things exactly where you wouldn't call it out maybe because you don't want to make it seem. It's just like they said, one of those million unpleasant things that just add up over time.
Yeah, exactly, and is it up to you if you're uncomfortable as a woman or as a guy who's then going to be called a white knight to say something about it?
Yeah.
And there is this kind of that, this example I'm thinking of, the person who said that, he's actually, it's the same intent as, that's so gay. That's what that expression is said by people who actually aren't homophobic, but just are ignorant about the fact of, why that's a problem.
Yes.
And, the intention was actually fine. It was just funny wordplay or whatever. He's just unaware of why that would cause a problem and make some people uncomfortable being there. And so it is hard. It's not really fair to put it on the shoes of people who are affected by it, or even the people who just notice, to always constantly having to be pointing it out. And so that's why we kind of do this blanket tonight's Planeswalkers for Diversity Night, and people pay more attention to that kind of thing, and then I don't know, it's hard to really put your finger on. It's not like we're actually policing things more, but just by putting that intent out there, it seems to have a cascading effect. I know our pre-releases, for example, locally here, I don't know if Planeswalkers for Diversity can take all the credit, but in the last year or so, coinciding since we've been running those, the atmosphere there has been so much better and so much more helpful. It was kind of scary just for new players, never mind for women or anybody who's in a minority of any kind.
Yeah, and I think some of the best responses to that is I think it's good to call people out if you feel comfortable calling people out. Be gentle, because if people, very likely they didn't mean to offend anybody, didn't mean to hurt you. Just express it calmly. And on the flip side, if someone tells tells you that they're uncomfortable, even if it doesn't make sense to you why that would make them uncomfortable, just listen to it. Be mindful. It's like how much harder your life is gonna get if you just try not to use the word rape around people, or like try not to use the word like fag around people, and it might save people a lot of pain. It's probably just worth it, even if you don't understand why it makes them uncomfortable.
Right. I think I've seen people overreact about that kind of maybe calling it rape monger is not, the best thing, and they'll say, oh, but, why are you trying to limit how I express myself, or what, like, why freedom of speech, or, God, you're making all these rules, but it's actually just, it doesn't take very much effort at all to just
exactly, yeah. To save someone a lot of pain and make them comfortable. It's just nobody is imposing your freedom of speech. They're just sharing a little bit of how you can make the whole community a little bit friendlier for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so worth it.
It's worth it. I think this goes back to my premise, which is like, I just want to see a more diverse game store because I think it'd be more fun. I think it'd just be more fun if there were more women at Magic Night. But I think, the truth is that maybe not everybody agrees about that. I think that Magic is kind of a boys' club. A very small percentage of players are female or identify as female. And I think there's a lot of guys that just like it that way. It's just, they like guys' night out. They like just kind of dropping their guard and just saying the word rape and making jokes about, tits and ass and, oh man, I would love to fuck that girl, et cetera, et cetera. And they just want to be able to say that stuff and have it be okay. And, or just to have a kind of like all-male energy in the room that they kind of get, that's what excites them about Magic Night. It's basically a new version of the traditional, poker night at the guys. If you can imagine the old sitcom scenario where, oh, my old, nag of a wife, I finally could get away from her to go to poker night. And then Magic is kind of replacing that. And if that's what guys want it to be, then, well, they basically have that. But I think what they don't realize is that there's a lot of guys at poker night and at Magic Night who just are also uncomfortable by that stuff.
Yeah, not only that, but I think they're giving up on they're giving up on a lot of things they just like they don't know they're giving up on when they don't try to foster a comfortable environment for everybody, because this is what they know, this is what they're comfortable with, but communities that are more gender balanced tend to be healthier communities. There's and if it's the same guys who are like complaining about what you were talking about earlier, how like I'm a nice guy, how come like nobody wants to date me? Well, maybe if there was a lot more girls in your store, you may at some point be able to. It's one of those do you
mind if I'll weigh in for just a second? Sorry, just Trevor, or the stream or anyone, do you want us to switch to drafting in the background now? Does it matter?
I'm loving this vintage footage, but do what you want. Whatever you think you'd have fun playing, we would have a lot of fun watching it. That's what I thought.
Okay, go back right where you were. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me know, Nelson, if you want to switch to draft.
Cool.
Will do. Sorry, we were just talking just now.
Yeah, just talking about the party. I think it's just Magic is a better party when there's women. But just to be perfectly forthright, there aren't any women in my current casual play group, and it's something that I'm a little bummed about. And I'll say that we used to have a few. Basically, my quick personal story with Magic is that I played when I was a kid, Revised and Ice Age and all of that.
Hello?
And then I went away and then came back as an adult.
You want me to draft real bad?
And right around
Okay,
2010.
well, I'm probably dead here anyway. Yeah. So I'll draft soon. Okay, bye.
Cool. So when I came back to Magic, there was kind of like, I don't know, it got real hip with my friends for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And we were a mixed group, men and women. There were at least 4 women in our play group. Maybe 5. But we were like, probably 16, 17 people, and we were having Magic Night, I don't know, any old night of the week that we wanted to. And we probably lost 3/4 of the group entirely, and it came down to like 6 hardcores. And I was one of them. And so it definitely bummed me out a lot that people were leaving the play group, especially the women, just because the party was more fun. We'd get into costume more. We'd like focus more on things like the music and the food and stuff like that for whatever reason. We played a lot of awesome games. And then I think really the group had some attrition because people didn't like Constructed. We hadn't really discovered Limited yet. I considered myself a new player at the time, even though I played a lot of Magic for like 2.5 years as a kid. But I was coming back to it, just getting the hang of the new rules. Okay, no more mana burn, damage off the stack and whatnot. There's no interrupts anymore. I mean, I was trying to learn all that stuff, and I certainly wasn't very well connected to the Magic community. I didn't understand Limited, and so basically we discovered Limited, and that saved the play group. We built cubes, and then it wasn't an arms race where whoever went to the store the most often to buy cards for their decks would win the next games. So I think the female players and a lot of the male players just stopped playing. I would think mostly for that reason, but and then we had our one friend Ellen. She came back on and played with us a bunch of times, but then she went to grad school. So now we are, probably 8 or 9 guys, and it's just all guys. And and I think about, why more women don't play. I mean, I've tried to get my wife to play a lot of times. She's just not much of a gamer, but I certainly know women who are into games. It's just... you can have the best of intentions. You can want to foster a very inclusive atmosphere. You can do your absolute best to be a gentleman and to foster a healthy environment. And you can still end up with no women at the table. And it can be a frustrating thing if it's something you care about that much, but at the end of the day, it's not really any one person's job to fix the gender inequity in Magic, but I think if the entire group was aware of the issues at hand, we could probably swing it if we wanted to, if there was the willpower there.
Yeah.
And so I'm the first person to admit it. So Rada, what about the more casual groups that you play with, outside of the store? Do you play games at people's houses or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, right now I'm actually in my current group because I'm in Vancouver right now. Normally I live in Boston. I'm the only girl. No, there's 2 of us in the group. We're a little bit on and off. And it helps, it's just like, it's, some girls get their husbands, boyfriends, friends into play, and vice versa. And I think in my experience, there's more diversity among these like kitchen table home groups than there's in the store or at the bigger events. And I think that's because it starts with people who are already comfortable with the people around them. Because I think a lot of the women are really self-conscious to be bad. Are really self-conscious to, like I said, to be considered bad for being women rather than being new. And that's not as much of an issue when you're just playing with friends or playing with your significant other, who know you're smart, who know you're nice, who are not going to judge you as much, And there's less anxiety around that. Like my casual group in Boston, we do like regular F&M drafted our